So, those moments where Nintendo adds a new feature and you go, huh, that's interesting. That's what I felt when I first saw the virtual game card system on the Switch. I didn't think much of it, but then I started poking around. Turns out, there's a lot more to it. There are things I really like, some things that feel overly complicated, and one idea I had that I genuinely think could change the future of digital games. So stick around, and if this virtual game card talk is your kind of thing, maybe tap that subscribe button. Alright, so let's lay this out. Nintendo introduced this new virtual game card system with their big 20.00 firmware update. The idea is pretty straightforward. Your digital games now behave like virtual cartridges. You can load them into a console, eject them, and even lend them out to people in your Nintendo account family group. They also changed the whole primary console setup. Now it's called a pass-enabled console, which kinda sounds like something out of a Mario Kart power-up menu, but it's a real thing. Alongside that, you can set up a paired console and use something called online license settings, so you can still play your games even if they're not currently loaded, as long as you're online. The new menu shows your digital games in a clean, organized list. It feels like a small change, but it adds this satisfying sense of control over your library. Okay, so we're going to start with the pros of this virtual game card system. One of the biggest improvements here is how Nintendo finally addressed digital game sharing across different consoles. Before this, if someone wanted to play a game you bought, they had to use your account. It worked, but it was kind of a mess. Now, with the virtual game card system, they can use their own account, as long as they're on a paired or pass-enabled console. That's a huge quality of life improvement. You can also still play your games on a third console using online license settings. It's not unlimited freedom, but it's more flexible than what we had. And I really like the new menu. It might sound small, but seeing your games displayed like cards gives a bit more weight to digital ownership. There's something about it that just feels nicer than scrolling through a standard list. Game lending also works now, for up to 14 days within your family group. That is not nothing, and while it has limits, I think it is a step in the right direction. I don't personally have multiple Switch consoles in the house, but I know a lot of folks who do. If you're using this system across more than one Switch, I'd really love to know how it's working for you. Does it feel like progress, or are you still running into walls? Let me know down in the comments. Alright, let's talk about the cons. As much as I appreciate what they're trying to do, the virtual game card system isn't exactly perfect. First off, no simultaneous play. If a game is loaded on one console, it has to be ejected before another console can use it. So if you're thinking you can play all the same digital games at the same time, you can't. Second, you need an internet connection to load or eject these virtual cards. Not great if you're traveling or have spotty service. It kind of locks you out of the system if you're offline. Then there's the game lending. It works, but it's a bit strict. You can lend only one game per person at a time and 3 games total. And during that 14-day window, you can't access the game yourself. It's functional, but it feels like Nintendo is dipping its toe into flexibility rather than jumping in. So what do you think? Is this more convenient for you, or does it feel like new rules layered on top of old ones? Drop your thoughts below. I want to see how this system actually feels in the real world. Now, something I don't want to skip over is Nintendo's Ask the Developer series for the Switch 2. I read through it, and it was one of the more thoughtful dev breakdowns I've seen from them. They didn't just explain the features, they talked about why they built things this way. There was a clear effort to make the transition from Switch to Switch 2 feel smooth, and not like you're forced to toss your old system aside. And when they talked about virtual game cards, you could tell they were thinking about what digital ownership actually means. There's a level of care in how they structured lending, loading, and sharing, not just from a technical side, but from a player experience side too. It made me pause and go, okay, maybe this isn't just Nintendo doing Nintendo things. Maybe they're really trying to evolve with us. And that gives me a little more patience with the system's rough edges. And if you want to check it out for yourself, I'll drop a link to the full Ask the Developer interview down in the description. It's worth reading the whole thing firsthand. Now, let's talk about future possibilities for the virtual game card system. When I got to thinking about digital games as these virtual cards, it got me wondering, what if we could actually sell our digital games? Here's the idea. Nintendo creates a virtual game card marketplace. You decide you're done with a game. You put your access to it up for sale. Someone else buys it at a discounted price. You get stored credit in your Nintendo account, and that credit can be used to buy more games on the eShop. And here's how it could work. Nintendo could charge the seller a small transaction fee, say 10 to 15%. This keeps the system profitable for them and discourages spam listings. From that fee, Nintendo also splits a portion with the original game developer. It's automatic, baked into the system, and ensures that developers, especially indie teams, continue to benefit even when their games are resold. Right now, digital games are a dead end when you're done with them, but this idea gives them a second life. And for indie developers, this opens up a new source of long-tail revenue. Instead of being completely cut out of the resale loop like they are in the physical market, they stay in the picture. Nintendo could even cap how many games a user can resell per year, maybe 5 or 10, to keep the store healthy and avoid abuse. This way, it supports casual trading, not a gray market. Collectors wouldn't care. They like having big libraries, so they'd likely never use this feature. That means they wouldn't flood the resale system or mess with its balance. But budget-conscious players, this could open up real flexibility for them. Being able to trade in a finished game to help pay for the next one adds value that digital libraries have never really offered. Would you use something like that? Would you sell your old digital games for credit? I think it could seriously shift how we think about ownership in the digital space. Let me know what you think. So yeah, virtual game cards. I didn't expect to care about them this much, but it's kind of fascinating where Nintendo is trying to go with it. They're trying to bridge the gap between digital convenience and physical ownership. And while the system isn't perfect, it feels like they're building a foundation that could really evolve. The features are there: lending, loading, flexible access across multiple consoles. There's still friction, sure, but also potential, especially if Nintendo keeps refining the system and maybe even explores that resale marketplace idea. If this helped clear anything up or gave you something new to think about, give it a like. And if you want more thoughtful takes on all things Nintendo, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.